Here is to find the world's strongest man.
Hello and welcome to the World's Strongest Man competition, which this year takes place just outside the home of Lady Luck, Las Vegas, against the stunning backdrop of the sun-bleached Nevada desert. This, the first heat, promises to bring us all the drama and excitement we've come to expect from the World's Strongest Man as the reigning champion defends his title. By the end of this show, we'll know whether Magnus Ver Magnusson has a chance of being the World's Strongest Man for the 4th year running. Here's Paul Dickinson, or rather, down there somewhere is Paul Dickinson, with more information.
Thanks, Philippa. Well, I can't believe how peaceful it is down here, but we're going to change all of that in a few moments' time, when Magnus and 5 other competitors, including Scotland's Brian Bell, are going to take part in some trials of strength, which, as always, will test every muscle in their body. The scoring is very simple. It's 6 points for first place, 5 for second, and so on down to 1 point for last place. And with only 4 events in each heat, it means there's no margin for error if you want to become one of the 2 men to make it through to the final. There is one problem, though, and that is this searing heat. And believe me, these massive men are not built for endurance. It's strength, speed and power that will be the key to their success. So let's meet them all now, starting with the man who's been unbeatable for the last 3 years, Magnus Ver Magnusson of Iceland. He's taken a lot of punishment during his long career, but he defies pain to produce magnificent performances when it matters most. Scotland's Brian Bell is more experienced than when he appeared for the first time last year. He's determined to produce a performance worthy of a place in the final. Norway has a real star in Sven Karlsen. A champion in powerlifting and bodybuilding, his Viking strength is hunting for yet another title. In Torfi Olafsson, we have our second Icelander who wants to break the monopoly of his fellow countrymen. If size is anything to go by, he's got a great chance. Joe Onosai is a massive man too. Since he started in strength competitions, his dream has been to win this title. And finally, Regan Vagadal was a surprise finalist last year with an inspired performance. He's back and ready to do battle again.
We're against the backdrop of the mountains of the Nevada desert in the aptly named Buffalo Bills, the first gambling stop inside the state line, just 40 minutes away from Las Vegas. Last-minute preparations are still taking place for the first event, the winch, which gives Paul a chance to catch up with the reigning champion.
Magnus, this competition seems to be getting tougher every year. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, tell me about it. And I'm not getting any younger every year.
Magnus Ver Magnusson starts as favourite. Do you think he can defend his title again?
Magnus is an awesome athlete, and he's an awesome person, and I think he's got his work cut out for him this year, because there are a lot of great athletes assembled this year at the World's Strongest Man.
Now, Great Britain has had a very good record in this competition in the past. Do you feel able as though you can qualify for the final?
Well, it's quite difficult to follow in the footsteps of Gary Taylor and Jamie Reeves, but I'll give it my best shot for Scotland.
This looks as though it could be one of the toughest heats of all.
It certainly doesn't look like one of the easiest, Steve. But if you want to go and win the World's Strongest Man, it doesn't matter what heat you are in.
And so we get cracking with a massive trial of strength. 34,000 pounds of American super truck to be wound in with a winch over the course of 30 metres. Joe Onosai the first to go. And the competitors having drawn before the competition to see who goes first. Just gets the strain on, and here we go. And getting this giant lorry going is going to be the most difficult part of this event. Joe's 25-stone body weight might not help him too much here. It's strength in the arms and the shoulders. The champion watching and waiting. Just over 35 seconds, and Joe is really working hard. It's always difficult going first, but this is a good effort. He's getting tremendous support, and the truck is on its way. There's just about 5 more meters to go, and the agony will stop. These big guys don't like endurance. It must cross the line. 55.95 seconds, a big effort from a huge guy. The champion for the last 3 years, beginning the long haul to try and win it once again. Possibly the best all-round strength athlete the world has ever known. He'll take his time to prepare himself, and Asda, his girlfriend, as always, looking worried. Now, Magnus knows the importance of a strong start. Get it rolling, and then keep up a steady rhythm. But that winch looks very awkward. There's 30 seconds on the clock now with the time to beat in the left-hand corner, and this looks like a big effort from the Icelander. The arms really pumping away, using every muscle in his body. And Asda screaming her support. He's very, very close now. Can he beat 50 seconds? There's still a little bit more to do. The last couple of meters agonizingly slow. I think he's lost the early advantage. It's over 56 seconds. He's behind Joe Onosai, but delighted it's over. And Joe may be a bit surprised, but there's a long way to go. Scotland's Brian Bell, the third man to go in this event. 18 wheels supporting 15 tons of steel on its way. And Brian is really having a go here. He's going at it like crazy. He's got tremendous strength in his arms and shoulders. There's Jackie, his wife, trying to encourage him. But I think that early fast start is going to make him slow down a little. He's almost there. This is a great effort from the Scot. He's slowing just a little, but this is a tremendous effort. 53.42. Can you believe it? He's beaten two of the best men in the competition. He's totally exhausted, but in the lead. And Joe can't believe it.
Brian, that's the best possible start. It's just been announced you're in the lead, 53 seconds.
I'm very pleased to beat two of the top guys in the world. But it's very difficult to know how fast you're going. It's just grit, determination, and just keep going to the line.
Well, if it's grit and determination that's a major factor here, this guy has got stacks of it. Regan Vagadal, he almost became a national hero in the Faroe Islands when he made the final last year, despite a terrible accident in one of the events. He almost buried his head in the tarmac after falling underneath one of the weights he was lifting. So 30 seconds now, and look at this. He's really getting stuck in. He's really attacking it. It looks very fast, and that's worrying Brian Bell. He's still working, and girlfriend Macon with a stopwatch at the ready. Just a couple of meters to go, and well under 50 seconds. 46.60, and that is sensational. Vagadal has destroyed the rest. A real stunner for Brian Bell. Well, this guy means business. Sven Carlsen from Norway, raring to go by the looks of it. And the load ready and waiting. Sven Carlsen would love to make the final here, but look at this, he's struggling a little bit to get it going. He needs to smooth out those turns on the winch. Well, 30 seconds is coming up. He could be behind, but it's beginning to move well. That's his wife, Nana, giving him a bit of stick. He's really got it going, and it seems to be accelerating after that poor start. Oh, yes, he's going to do it very easily. Very impressive indeed. Another 4 seconds off the best time. You might have heard him shouting Viking power. I'm not going to argue with that. Well, you can't impress everybody, but certainly in first place. Torfi Olafsson of Iceland getting ready. The giant truck is away for the last time, and Torfi, like Joe Onosai, weighing in at 25 stones. This is a real challenge for this man. I think it's a very fast run too. His fellow countryman, the champion, is in real danger of ending up in last place here, and that would be a big shot. Carlsen wondering whether he can hang on to first place. Torfi is close to the finishing line, but he is tiring. The pain in those arms is excruciating, but it's a very good effort. 47.64. He likes it. He's in third place.
Well, just one look at Sven and it's obvious that he's up to do well, but as for Magnus, this has come as a complete shock. It almost robs the winner of his glory.
I'm more concerned that I'm going to do well in the next 3 events myself than worrying about his last place.
6th place. You've never been in that position before.
Nah. Right. Like I said, I've been suffering with injuries, so maybe I'm not, 100%. So if I'm not, I shouldn't be in the final.
Before fancy gyms were around, there were only rocks and logs to be lifted as a trial of strength. This event is called the incline press, and at 105 kilograms, the weight is equal to approximately 15.5 stone. Now, because the men are strapped to this bench, their arms and their shoulders are isolated, and so the upper body has to do all of the work. And this log has to be lifted from chest height to fully extended arm's length as many times as possible in 60 seconds.
And because of those two shocked 5th and 6th place positions in the last event, it's Joe Onosai and Magnus who go first, and they'll be eager to make amends in event 2. Now, these logs weigh 105 kilograms each, that's 16 stones, and strength and endurance, once again, the keys to success. Now, we can plot their progress at the top of the screen with the number of reps they've done, and at the moment, it's Joe Onosai just creeping ahead, and the Samoan really pumping those arms, but there should be a better event for Magnus. He needs a good one. Joe's already gone a couple ahead and still working well. Magnus just slowing the pace a little. And Onosai really putting up a big total. The Icelander keeping it going, but he's much slower. And Onosai, he's up to 20 now. That is tremendous. Magnus is slowing a lot, but he's getting some coaching from Asta. They're both beginning to feel it. 23 for Onosai. Magnussen is finished. And Joe is finished too. 24 for him. I think that's a world record. And Magnus in pain. There's a big question mark now over his fitness. So is the defending champion carrying an injury? But look at that. Big Joe is really flying. And Magnus is looking worried.
Joe, we've just heard your score was 24.
Well, I'm very excited. My goal was to hit 20, and so I got 4 more than I thought I would get, so I'm very excited about that.
Well, I don't suppose Torfi here, one of the next pair, Magnus who's finished, or Scotland's Brian Bell are too excited though. Onosai's total is going to be very tough to beat. Bell must be encouraged though by his last performance, and away we go. Well, straight away, Torfi just ahead, driving the log to arm's length, just as Philippa said, making it look very, very easy. And Brian's going well too. He's a big man for the bench press, so this should be a good one for him. Olofsson is really getting a good rhythm and heading towards Magnussen's total. And he's there. Brian needs a couple more to draw level. That's one of them. Well, Olofsson seems to have run out of steam a bit. He's on 17. Brian could do with another one. There's Jackie once again. Now, come on, Brian. Olofsson's had enough now on 17. Just watching Brian Bell. He's finished as well. He can't quite get the extra rep to put him level with Magnus. That's Mrs. Carlson getting ready to see if her husband can do the double. Sven on the right of Regan Vagadal. And Carlson is really pumped up by his last performance. He was very impressive in winning the winch, as was Regan in coming a surprise second. Well, Regan, or Raging as he's sometimes known, gets away well, and Carlson really going for it again, and both men away to a fast start, but pacing yourself is very important too. Vagadal is just behind, but look at this, 230 pounds, made to look like a featherweight. I think Carlson may have had one disqualified there. So both men are locked together, chasing Brian Bell's total. Carlson's got it. And Svender's got the 15th now. Goes for another to beat Magnus. Regan is still level with the Scot and can't quite get the extra repetition. Sven pushing for all he's worth to get level with Torfi. He can't quite do it. Oh, it's a great effort though. And in the end, Onosai has won it by a mile.
Once again, a painful event and a shuffling of scores. Magnus may be in a position to regain some of his points, and Joe may be realising his dream.
You sound so relaxed about everything.
Well, I'm very confident. You know, I've really prepared myself and worked hard and shed some weight, and I feel so much better now in this year's competition.
Just remind us how much you actually weigh.
A lot less than I was 2 years ago.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
His confidence is well placed. That last performance has brought him up to 3rd. Carlson's still in the lead after 2, but the big shock is Magnussen, down in 6th.
Halfway through the first heat here in the Prima Donna Resort, night falls and this place really comes alive in response to the rush of keen gamblers fresh in from California. All of them are hoping, some of them are convinced that they could really be next. You won't actually spot any of our guys giving in to temptation round the poker table. They're preparing for the heat of the desert and the competition. And despite the setting, I wouldn't lay any money on the winner of the Hercules hold. This heat really is a spinning wheel of fortune.
Magnus has been champion so many times. It's a championship. It's a title that you guys want to win so desperately. What makes him special?
Well, he's a very special guy. He's the greatest champion this sport's ever had, and it's because of the heart that he has. He has a spirit of a warrior that just never quits and never dies.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as far as Magnus is concerned, but first it's Brian Bell, who needs something rather special here to move him up the leaderboard from 5th place overall.
Ready? Okay.
Dougie Edmonds sends him away, and as you can imagine, the grip is crucial, and that left-hand car is moving a lot. Oh, well, wife Jackie looking a little puzzled, and it appears that Brian wasn't ready for the off.
Did you say something else?
Back again, Bill.
Well, he'll have to negotiate another chance later. Reagan going walkabout in the desert for his turn. And this guy has got massive arms, bigger than most people's legs. Getting ready for the action. And the Faroe Islander not wanting to make the same mistake as Brian. He wants those 1.5-ton cars in exactly the right place. Now look and listen to the effort. It looks and sounds like sheer torture. You need a massive amount of willpower here. Oh, 18.84 seconds, and boy, is he glad it's over. Now then, if the final this year is to have its greatest champion in it, Magnus's fortunes have to change right now. His experience has always taught him never to leave anything to chance. This preparation here has got to be just right. And it's the first time Asda has seen a man under this sort of pressure for a very long time. Referee Dougie Edmonds just getting the car's edge back to exactly the right place for Magnus. His arms have to be straight to start. The feet in the right position. Here we go, 18.84 seconds to beat. The effort begins. The strain is taken across the arms and the shoulders, and the combined weight of these cars is over 6,000 pounds. They're designed to test the will to win too, and Magnus putting everything into this trial of strength. He's gone past Vagadal's time, and now he wants to put more on the clock to put the pressure on the rest. This is a tremendous effort. He's going to get close to 30 seconds, just short, but a step in the right direction for the great man, and it's appreciated by everybody. Magnus, you really did need to produce something special there.
Well, I don't know if this is anything special. A lot of good guys are still to come in this. So now the only thing I can do is just sit back and watch.
Well, he's right about that. But the waiting can sometimes be more agonizing than the events themselves. So now it's on to Sven Karlsson. Making sure of the start. This is not a gradual strain on the body. As soon as those cars are released, the shoulders immediately feel as though they're about to be pulled out of their sockets. But these are very, very strong men. That's why they're here. His wife making absolutely sure he knows the time situation. He's gone past Reagan. Now he's chasing Magnus. He's trying to shut out the intense pain. Look at that, 24.2 seconds. It's over, and his #1 fan is truly delighted. And so is Magnus, relieved still to be in the lead.
I'm only worried about myself, and I'm going to win tomorrow, so I'm not so worried about him.
That's a definite you're going to win?
I hope so, yeah. The wheel flip is mine.
Well, big promises from Karlsson. Meanwhile, Torfi Olsen in 2nd place overall gets ready. And this big guy is growing in confidence all the time. Oh, just a little adjustment of the feet there. That's dangerous, but checking on the grip. And now he begins to look comfortable, doesn't he? Heading towards 20 seconds. He looks solid as a rock. Overlook the grip in his left hand went.
22.69 in third place, and Magnus still heading towards a possible 6 points. Now it's Joe Onosai. Incidentally, Brian Bell has been awarded another attempt, so he goes next. He'll be the last to go. Remember, Joe Onosai won the last event. Dougie Edmonds, once again, just checking on everything. Oh, that left-hand car is moving again. I'm not sure Joe had the start position right. He might regret that. He looks comfortable now, but I think his grip is going. That is a surprise. 11.42 seconds. Onosai can't believe it. And that makes qualifying for the final very interesting. The calculators are out and all the odds are changing.
Joe, you could be in trouble.
Well, obviously, I'm very disappointed. You know, it was a lot heavier than I anticipated, but that's how it goes, you know.
So Brian Bell has his second chance, and he has to make this one count. If he can get into the top half, he's got a great chance of qualifying. Oh, he's got massive shoulders, hasn't he? But he's struggling already. Oh, look, it's going. And that's only going to get him a single point. That's it, and that's tough.
What a shame for Brian, but at last we're seeing what we expect from the 4-times champion Magnus. He's back in the running, but will it be enough?
This guy is a great champion. Can he make it through to the final?
It's a little chance.
A little chance.
Yes.
It would have to be a monumental effort. He's 5 points behind Carlson, 3 behind Olofsson, and level with Onosai. The last event is going to be a cracker.
We stay in the desert for the final event in this heat, which is the wheel flip. Simple but demanding. The competitors literally flip these wheels all the way down the 20-metre course. No rolling is allowed, and they compete in pairs. Fastest time wins. Now, the difficulty is in manoeuvring these things, and there's a temptation to use your leg as support while you flip the tyre over. But in the past, contestants have been seriously injured just because of the huge weight of this thing crashing down on their leg. So they've been advised to resist that temptation. And to add to the tension, this is Magnus's first time at this event, and he really needs to do well. To look at him, though, you wouldn't have a clue of the pressure he's under. He's as cool as his iced water. Torvi, do you realise what you have to do in this event?
Yeah, I do. I need to get into the final for sure. I need at least 4 points if Mikey's going to win. Then I need 4 points to be sure.
Well, of course, all the competitors know exactly what is required. Unfortunately for Brian Bell on the left, he can't make the final, but he does want to go out with a flourish. Regan Vagadal, well, he could, but it's a real outside bet. That's the easy bit, as you can imagine. But these huge 300-kilogram tyres from Giant Earth Movers are so awkward to lift into the vertical position. Well, Regan's done 2 now, and he looks as though he's fit to burst. The temperature is way up in the 90s in the desert, but he's going well. Brian Bell finding life difficult. This is possibly the most awkward test so far. Vagadal going well, and Brian Bell trying to give it a little bit of help with his leg. That can be dangerous if he slips, and that's why the 2 spotters are there. This must be the slowest 20 metres of their life. Brian looks absolutely exhausted. Vagadal keeps on going, getting close to 1 minute of heavy lifting, and this is very hard indeed for these guys. The spotter standing in close to Brian Bell there, but he doesn't need a hand this time. He's got 1 more, and that's important. Now, Regan, after this one more flip, and he's home and dry. And he'll be very dry indeed, and Brian Bell is still trying so hard. It's that first part of the lift that's so difficult. Come on, the Faroe Islands. Just one last effort. He's just got to drop it over the line now. Yes, 1 minute 25.95. A tremendous effort from Regan Vagadal. Brian's got a couple more metres. He'll have to be measured at that position, and both men get great applause.
Joe Onosai, Samoa. Magnus Per Magnusson.
Well, both of these guys are locked on 10 points, and both have 1 win each. Now, mathematically, it's possible just for one of them to go through to the final if they win this event, and if they push Carlson and Olofsson a couple of places down the field. Well, you heard what Philippa said. This is the first time Magnus has done this event, but he's such a great all-rounder. He's way to a cracking start. Joe is slower. Magnus is really flying, and Joe has got to get a move on. Oh, Asta is blowing a gasket, and Magnus is still going well. It's fast. It's very, very fast. Now, Magnus desperately wants his place in the final. He wants it so much. Joe, I'm afraid, is not going to do it like this. The first big effort is to get the tyre off the ground, and Magnus does it so well. One more after this, and he's going to finish the course. This is a brilliant performance. The crowd know they're seeing something very special here. It's going to annihilate Vagadal's time. He's in first place at the minute, but what about Joe Onosai? I think Joe may well call it a day. He's behind Brian Bell at the moment. Exhaustion. And they know exactly what the other two have to do now.
You knew exactly what you had to do. Is it going to be enough?
I don't know.
It's really, you did your effort, and it's all down to the last pair, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Toro will get an advantage in this, because he's a little bit taller.
So the man he's just been talking about, Torfi Olofsson, the last one to appear. Now remember what Carlson said, he can win this. No, not can, he will win it. But the irony is that he doesn't need to win it to go through to the final. He just needs a couple of points to make sure. Olofsson going well, but Carlson isn't leaving anything to chance. He's going at it like a raging bull. Torfi too knows the score, but he's a long, long way behind. Carlson is absolutely flying. Olofsson well beaten already. Sven is certainly going for the win, and that spells danger for Magnus Magnusson. This is the event that recently caused former World's Strongest Man, Welshman Gary Taylor, to suffer a crushed knee. We wish him well, but we're watching somebody who could win that title one of these days. It's a fantastic effort from Sven Carlson. Look at that. He's won this last event. A Viking power's pretty good, isn't it? Torfi keeps going, and it's delight for the Carlson clan. He's in the final, but what about Olofsson? He's nearly at the finish. He doesn't actually have to cross the line. He's not going to get 4 points, but Val Magnusson has come second, and I think we've got some drama.
The last event is over. The massive Sven never seemed to tire, and it earned him first place. An incredible improvement on last year's performance.
Sven Carlson,
Viking power! A big shock for the champion, but Iceland do go through to the final in the shape of Torfi Olofsson. But what a dominant performance by Sven Carlson.
No matter what, I'm happy now, no matter what is going to happen in the final, but of course I'm going to try to win it, and I believe I can.
Do you remember what you said in Mauritius?
Yeah, I said I'll be back, and I am back, for certain.
Are you looking forward to the final?
Yeah, I am. We'll sleep for 2 days, ready after that.
What about Magnus?
What can I say? It's just, you know, it wasn't my day, at least. Not now. But I'm not finished yet.
So finally, the great Icelandic champion has been toppled from his throne, which means we can be guaranteed a brand new World's Strongest Man. Maybe it will be the turn of Riku Kiri, who came so close to defeating Magnus last year and then had to retire with an injury. Well, you don't have to wait long to find out, just until the next heat back here in the Nevada desert. See you then.
And you can see that heat tomorrow at 3:25 on BBC One, where along with the rest we have England's strength sensation Russ Bradley.
Strongest man. Strongest man.
And a very warm welcome to Nevada for the second heat in this year's World's Strongest Man competition. This was a desert that only the bravest pioneers and adventurers faced until in 1829 a young scout stumbled upon an oasis, now better known as Las Vegas. It's not an oasis our competitors need, though. They thirst for a place in the final. Here's Paul Dickinson to tell you all about them.
Thanks, Philippa. Well, we've got 6 brand new contenders for you, including the giant Riku Kiri, who finished runner-up to Magnus Vagh Magnusson in Mauritius last year. But as we saw in the last programme, the defending champion was eliminated. So could this be the best chance ever for the Finn to lift the title? The first task, though, for Riku, England's Russ Bradley, and the rest, is a safe passage through the 4 events where the scoring is simple. You get 6 points for first place, 5 for second, and so on, down to a single point for last place. And then the top 2 scorers after event 4, they're on their way to the final. Now, every event we're going to see is a real test of strength and power. And as we saw with Magnusson, reputations mean absolutely nothing. All of these guys desperately want to make it. We're going to meet them all now, starting with England's hope, Russ Bradley.
Russ is in the Guinness Book of Records for some incredible feats of strength. This Worcester man will need to muster all his experience to make it through this tough heat. Raimons Bugmanis is Latvia's super heavyweight weightlifting champion and an Olympian. He wants to make the final for the 2nd year in a row. Fiji is renowned for its warrior race. Derek Boyer has incredible inner strength and a belief in himself that will make life hard for the other competitors. Riku Kiri finished 2nd last year. He's the most experienced man in Heat 2 and desperately wants the title of World's Strongest Man. Jean-Luc Moali, by contrast, is in his first international contest but comes with a big reputation. The Frenchman will have to be on top form to qualify. Finally, Evgeny Popov from Bulgaria, like Bugmanis, has a massive reputation from the sport of weightlifting. He has a real passion to be a finalist.
And the flags fly for all of those men as they prepare for the first event, the Super Yoke.
Now, you've never won World's Strongest Man, but everybody says that one day you can. Is this going to be your year?
Of course, I hope this year is the winning year for me, because 3 times previously I have taken the other medals.
The mental preparation for you seems to be very important.
Definitely. Preparation in these sort of competitions is everything. How well I can get that psyche going is really going to really affect how well I do.
Your first ever World's Strongest Man, are you raring to go?
Yes, I am. A little bit of nerves, but getting very impatient now. I want to get on with it, break the ice.
And so the draw has determined that Riku Kiri is the first to break the ice. He really is a big guy, 6 feet 3 and 23 stones. And surely not an ounce of fat on him. Bugmanis checking what's in store. The lift of 300 kilos is the easy bit. Now 25 meters of effort, and balance is the key factor. Kiri taking small, deliberate steps to ensure slow but steady progress, and those 2 truck engine blocks digging into the shoulders all the way. The foam rubber on the bar helps to ease the pain a little bit. Now he's very close now. This is a good time for the Finn. 28.6 seconds, that's a very solid start. Derek Boyer still prowling and psyching himself up. Evgeny Popov, at 42 years old, the oldest man in this year's competition. He really is a delightful guy and so proud to represent Bulgaria here. That's a bit of a shaky start for Evgeny, though. Off he goes again, and Kiri watching and counting the seconds. This is much slower than Riku. He's certainly going to finish. And there's huge cheers for this guy. The last couple of meters taking him an age, 46.19. Oh, thank goodness that's over. Well, the blazing sun making things doubly difficult for everybody here. But this is Derek Boyer now, the island warrior, complete with war paint and a really big will to win. Jean-Luc Moali and Russ Bradley looking nervous. Now get it steady. Oh, this is a very fast start by the Fijian. He's absolutely flying. The time to beat is in the left-hand corner. He's going to destroy the time set by Riku Kiri. What a performance. 18.48, and that is the target for the rest. Talk about aggression. And Kiri can't believe it. Well, 3 down and 3 to go, and boy, his time was so good.
It's all about balance. All the guys here won't have a problem with the weight, but it's getting the balance right.
Well, I hope Raymond Spugmanis was watching and listening. The Atlanta Olympian goes next. He's a very athletic man, despite his body weight of 135 kilos. And it's hard to believe that they don't have a problem lifting this weight, but I suppose a 300-kilo squat is an everyday training weight, and Boyer watching intently. He's not going to beat Derek Boyer's time, but he can go faster than Kiri. Couple of meters left. It's going to be close, 26.26. He's got second place with 2 men to go. Jean-Luc Mohali by now. He's very short. The rest are over 6 feet tall, and he only weighs 18 stones, but he's got a great reputation in France as a very gritty competitor. And those weights very close to the ground, and already he's shaky. Oh, now that's not a very good start for the Frenchman. He doesn't want any more of that. Russ Bradley gets ready to go next.
Jean-Luc, what happened?
Because I'm small and the engine blocks were near the ground, when I set off I lost my balance. So as soon as I took my first step, it was over. Whereas the big blokes have more distance between the ground and the bottom of the engine block. So if they lose their balance, they can adjust it and go off again.
Well, tough luck for the Frenchman, but now it's England's turn and Russ Bradley. And Russ is very nervous about this first event. Away we go. Oh, nearly a trip there in the first few strides. But he's really having a go here. He's got to keep balance, but he's absolutely flying. Now, can he win? It's going to be very close indeed. 17.55, he's done it. Can you believe it? That was fantastic. And Derek asking if he got it. Yes, he did.
Well, all that face paint and ferocity got Derek into second place. Sadly, only 4th for Riku, but what a fantastic start for England's Russ Bradley.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, Derek Boyer has got to buy you a couple of beers. That was the deal, wasn't it?
Yes. Derek? Yeah, good start. But I'm English, and I'll fight.
Classic event for weightlifters next, and a first for World's Strongest Man. This next event is called Deadlift Repetitions. In 90 seconds, each contestant has to raise the rear end of this car as many times as they possibly can. But each rep is only counted if it's correctly performed, which means lifting the car until your legs and your arms are perfectly straight. Now, as you can imagine, this is pretty tough on the legs and on their backs. So they're allowed to wear these super suits, which are made of really strong, elasticated fabric and gives them tons of support. Mind you, getting into one of these things is practically an event in itself.
The ever-present referee, Douglas Edmonds, and the lifting straps wrapped on to help the grip of Evgeny Popov. And away we go. Jean-Luc has already lifted. He achieved 8, so that's the target. And Evgeny's showing perfect technique. His back is nice and straight. He's letting the legs do the work all the time. I do think he's making a bit of a mistake, though, letting it all the way down. A little touch on the ground there, and then straight up would help with a better rhythm. But he's still progressing nicely, just 1 to equal Jean-Luc, and he's got that. He's a very, very good powerlifter in his own right, so he should perform well at this. 2 ahead of the Frenchman now, and the crowd have got a lot of admiration for this man. Evgeny has got a lot of pride too. Now his heart is beginning to beat faster and faster. In weightlifting, you only have to perform 1 maximum repetition at a time, so this is unknown territory for Popov. 1,100 kilos for each repetition. That's the weight of the car and the passengers. Now, can he get 1 more? That is a fantastic effort. I think he's finished. That was great from Popov. Riku watching and learning.
I think the rest of the guys were watching very carefully, though. They were impressed.
After Riku, after Russ, maybe
the situation will be changed.
Well, we'll soon find out. This is Riku Kiri. The first lift a little bit slow, but straight away the Finn into a different sort of rhythm. Just a little touch on the ground and bang, straight back up again. 5 repetitions and going well. Riku Kiri would be a handy guy to have around in an emergency with a car, wouldn't he? Oh, he's done 9 repetitions now in about half the time of Evgeny Popov. He's got such massive strength in his legs and back. He's absolutely zooming along. The repetitions now coming fast and furious. Level with Evgeny. He's getting tremendous support, and there's his wife Elizabeth. Now on 18. Oh, this is incredible. He seems to have got his second wind. He's absolutely piling on the pressure. 24 is fantastic, and that's his first pause ever since he started. 25. That's a massive total for the Finn. He squeezes out 26, and I think that may be it for Riku Kiri. That's unbelievable. Bergmanis getting some coaching from Popov.
Riku, just one word can describe what you just did. It was incredible. Did you expect to lift so many times?
What could I say? I did my best, and now it's up to the others to try and better that. I could not have given it any more. That was all I had.
What an act for Raimons Bergmanis to follow. Well, it's the same sort of rhythm as we saw from Riku Kiri. Oh, that just upset him a little bit. He's not as fast as Riku was, but it's pretty steady. And like Evgeny Popov, his weightlifting expertise should be helping him here. These are the sort of movements that these guys do in the gymnasium all the time. He pushes the hips through and pushes the chest out there, heading towards 10 repetitions. He's looking a little bit jaded now. The heat out here has to be a factor. It's close to 100 degrees here today, and they don't get that sort of temperature in Latvia. He's squeezing out every little last ounce of energy he's got. I think Kiri is going to be out of reach, but he could well test his best friend Evgeny Popov. He's level with the Bulgarian now. Now, can he do one more? Come on, it's nearly there. No, he's level on 16, and another great display. Well, just 2 to go now. Derek Boyer in a cloud of chalk for the hands. Riku Kiri in the shade. And Boyer is so intense and so talented. Russ Bradley getting caught up in the atmosphere. So, away we go. Oh, and for some reason, Dougie Edmonds not counting that second one. I don't think he straightened his legs, so he's going to have to look out. But he's on 5 now, that's better. He doesn't seem to be breathing very much. You must take deep breaths in between each lift. It's not long before his 21-stone body will be starved of oxygen. And this is much better. He seems to have found a new rhythm now. He's looking more confident as well, and already he's gone over the total of Popov and Bergmanis. He's a very tall man, so not best suited to this event, but going extremely well. Look at this. He's on 20, he wants more. And Riku Kiri must begin to wonder now whether this man can beat him. I think everybody thought Riku's total was out of sight, but it may be possible for the Fijian. 1 to go to draw level. He's got it. This is a fantastic contest. He's asking how many, and he's being told you must get 1 more to win. He's well within the time limit. Now, come on, can he do it? The energy is totally drained. That's another phenomenal performance, and Riku and Boyer share the points.
I hit 26. I thought, please, one more, but I had nothing. And but for me to equal with Riku,
on his deadlift.
Incredible.
That's pretty good.
And so we have our last competitor, Russ Bradley. Oh, and already he's in trouble. The referee disallowed that first lift for not straightening the body all the way up. But look at this, he's got into it now. The winner of the first event, remember, so Russ, in his first ever World's Strongest Man competition, must be growing in confidence all the time. He's got to try and get that steady rhythm. Akiri still dripping with sweat after his 26 repetitions, equal in the lead with Derek Boyer. Now this is much better for Russ Bradley. The last few reps have been a lot quicker. He's still knocking out the repetitions. He's certainly safe in third place now, so that's good. And he's just squeezing out every repetition now. This is a tremendous effort from Russ Bradley. Now come on, one more for 20. He's got it. So third place is in the bag for Russ Bradley. What a great effort. Raymond Bergman still suffering, but being well looked after. What a dramatic event.
The result of all that heavyweight anguish, Derek and Riku take joint first place, but our British Bulldog, Russ, is nipping at their heels.
It's one of the toughest fights I've ever seen and certainly been involved in. I mean, Riku Akiri's second to none on that sort of event. To try and stay near him, which I've tried to do, I would have been proud of that. So.
And what about Derek Boyer?
Big surprise, big surprise.
So, just half a point between Derek Boyer and Russ, with Riku in close contention. Those three stretching away. Just 2 events to go.
And when night falls, it's to the casino, and our guy's hunger to win drives them there for a spot of Buffalo Stampede, not to be underestimated. In lane 1, Ryman's. Hyping himself in lane 2, Evgeny Popov. Russ. Checking out the competition, Derek. There's Riku and the Frenchman, Jean-Luc. And battle commences. The higher your score, the further your Buffalo goes. What an amazing event. See the concentration there on Ryman's face. You can't afford to lose your focus for a second in Buffalo Stampede. But finally a winner. So Derek's luck's in, but don't worry, all that excitement hasn't exhausted them for the log lift by the pool. The event is already well underway as we join it. We've lost Jean-Luc, but the others are very much still in. And now the bar is at 140 kilos, but they only have a total of 5 lifts each.
Riku, well rested from the deadlift now, looking confident here at 140 kilos. His second lift of this event, little roll up the chest. He's got to use the legs, and up it goes. It's a bit unsteady. He must hold it still. And the referee says yes. Derek Boyer still on a high from event 2. Joe Onosai watching, who was eliminated in the last program. Now you're going to watch a very unsophisticated weightlifting technique, but there's a lot of raw power here. He's got to get those arms straight, and yes! Everybody enjoying the show.
This is probably my worst event, and although I've trained hard for it, under these conditions against experienced log lifters, I'm not expecting to do that well, but I'll give it 100%.
Well, we'll see Russ in a moment, but first it's Evgeny, down in 5th place overall, so he needs to perform well here. Oh, very easily up to the chest. Oh, a good bit of weightlifting technique there. It's a little bit rusty, but it was effective. Now Russ Bradley, his 4th lift of the event, 140 kilos, 308 pounds. That's about 22 stones, but he has failed it the first time. So this is a very important lift. Roll it up onto the chest. He's a bit unsteady. He needs to lock out the arms. Yes! He's got it, and he's still in the competition. Well, the bar moving up to 145 kilos.
You needed that.
Yes. Like a hole in the head.
Now for Raymond Bergmanis, he finished 9th in the Olympic Games in the super heavyweight division. So this event perfect for his sporting background. Well, the technique off the ground, not the same, but watch that. It's so fast and explosive. A good lift. Well, that's the best place to be today. Derek Boyer asking for a little bit of help here, 150 kilos. Oh, it looks so awkward up to the chest. 24 stones the weight, and a big push with the arms, just like an old-fashioned press in weightlifting, and he's got it! Well, it was Viking power in the last program. Now it comes from Fiji. Elizabeth, Riku's wife, looking very worried. This is 150 kilos, but he has failed it once already. And 2 consecutive failures, and you're out. And Riku was really fancied in this event. No problem to his chest. He's got to straighten his arms. Oh, my goodness. He's trying it again. No. He can do it again if he has the energy. Oh, dear, this is a big problem for Keary now. And passions are running very high. Russ Bradley now with 155, and he is very, very psyched up. The Keary's winding down, he's eliminated. Now this could be big points for Russ Bradley if he can get it. Now come on, you've got to roll it up onto your chest. Oh, I don't think he's going to manage it. No, that's it, and he'll finish way down in 5th place. Evgeny Popov to go with the same weight, and Russ Bradley finished below Keary and Evgeny because it took him more attempts to get to 140 kilos. This would be very good for Popov, but I don't think he's going to do it. He'll finish in 4th, and Keary is 3rd.
155 kilos.
So, it's just left to Raymond Bergmanis here and Derek Boyer to decide number 1 and 2. Still 155 kilos. Nobody has lifted it yet. Smooth lifting so far. Yes! What a fabulous lift. Derek Boyer now with the same weight. He must believe he can do it. His technique won't be as good as Bergmanis, but he's so strong and so determined. Oh, look at the bend he's getting in his back. That's a little bit dangerous. No, he's going to finish with 2nd, but it is another big score. The last lift of the competition, and Raymond Bergmanis flying onto the platform. It's amazing what a boost in confidence can do for your performance. He's already won this event, but can he do 160 kilos? Everybody glued to the climax of the log lift, and that is spectacular. Oh, and so was that.
Our own Russ slipping down the scoreboard with every passing event, but a jubilant Latvian winner has to be pulled out of the pool to talk to Paul.
Can you make the final?
Open, but I know.
Event 3 certainly has made a big difference. Boyer looks safe, but Keary, Bergmanis and Bradley really have a battle on their hands.
From the oasis of the pool to the searing temperatures of the Nevada desert, it's easily pushing 38 degrees Celsius out here. That's 110 degrees Fahrenheit, making this event a lot harder than normal. And this is the Farmer's Walk. Each cylinder weighs 120 kilos, that's 17 stone. They go in pairs up the course towards Las Vegas and then back down towards California, a grand total of 50 meters. And with the points at the top end of this heat being so very close, no one can afford to slip up.
Very nervous, but the door is open for all guys.
Confident?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm going to win this. I must win, because I need points.
Well, the spectators have already seen Popov and Moali complete event 4, so it's Russ Bradley, along with Riku Keary, who was runner-up in last year's final. Russ Bradley running out, and they've got it all to do now. Keary has done it all before, of course, but Russ would do really well to make the final at his first attempt. The grip's so important, and Keary is away the quickest, but Bradley quickly into his stride as well. A lot of support for these two guys. They're very quick at halfway. Popov's time to beat in the top left-hand corner. Keary is absolutely flying, and Bradley's chance to make it through to the final is disappearing. 22.87, that's very fast. Bradley's not going to win after all, and that may have blown his chances. A gutsy effort, but Keary was so explosive.
Ricky Keary really had a blinder there, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind coming second to Ricky because he's so much more experienced than I am. But I've learned a hell of a lot.
Keary's chances of making the final are going to be decided in just a moment. It's Derek Boyer on this side and Latvia's Raimons Bergmanis who really must win this event to go through to the final. And away they go. Bergmanis just edging it. He's absolutely flying down the course. The Keary's counting the seconds. Bergmanis is definitely faster at halfway. Boyer not spectacular, but he is safe. Now look at this. How on earth can he move so quickly with such a weight? It's going to be so close for Latvia, and he's made it by over a second. Keary is surely out of the final now, but look at Boyer. Drama again in the last few strides. Bergmanis doesn't know his time yet. I think Boyer will have done enough. Bergmanis still unsure, but Derek Boyer has tied on points with Riku Keary, and his overall performances have been better. Yeah! Bergmanis now knows he's won this event, he's won Heat 2, he's into the final.
So despite Russ Bradley's confidence, a disappointing third place is not enough. But Raimons is overjoyed to get his crucial second win.
I win only 1 second, yeah?
Yeah.
1 second is small time.
But a very important second.
Yeah, this is lucky second.
There you have it. Another favourite bites the dust. Riku Keary is out. Bradley finishes fourth. It's Boyer and Bergmanis who've made it.
I'm so happy. I don't know what to say.
Magnus, the champion, and now Riku Keary. It's a big surprise.
I don't know who is next. See you.
Well, as the sun sets on this vast desert and the temperatures become more bearable, 2 more finalists are celebrating, and incredibly, we've lost Riku Keary, the man who last year came so close to grasping the winner's trophy. Each heat seems to bring more surprises. Join us for the next one when the South African Gerrit Badenhorst, who came third last year, takes up the challenge to be this year's world's strongest man. Till then, bye-bye.
That next heat is tomorrow, 3:10, BBC One.
Family, friends and feuds with EastEnders next on BBC One.
First on BBC One, the temperature's still rising, but... First on BBC One, the temperature's still rising, but who'll last the pace?
Hi there, you join us on the edge of the Nevada desert, just a few miles away from the California state line, where we're preparing for Heat 3 of the World's Strongest Man competition. This is the Wild West. Before the wagon trails came through, this was the home of the Paiute Indians, who used to spend their summers down here and their winters up in the mountains. Now though, Nevada is probably best known as one of the few places in America where gambling is permitted. Our men aren't intending to gamble away a place in the final. 12 months of hard work and dedication have led to this. So here's Paul Dickinson to introduce you to them.
Thanks very much, Philippa. Now look at this, total isolation. And it gives us a chance just to reflect for a moment on what happened during the course of the first 2 programs. 2 major shocks, in fact. First of all, the 4-time champion, Magnus Ver Magnusson, and then Riku Keary, who finished second last year, both failing in their attempt to make it through to the final. And so on to Heat 3, a chance to see one of the most experienced men in strength, South Africa's Gerrit Badenhorst, along with 5 other contenders, to see if they can hit the jackpot, a place in that final. They all take part in 4 different events and score as many points as they possibly can. You get 6 points if you win an event, 5 for second, all the way down to a single point for last place. And the top 2 scorers, they are the ones who go through. Well, this heat is becoming a problem. It's sapping the energy of these men as they push and pull these massive weights. Let's meet them all now. Starting off with the man I mentioned earlier, he finished 3rd in last year's final in Mauritius.
Gerrit is one of the most talented athletes I've ever seen and should start as favourite here. The South African is one of the real characters of the strength circuit. Gino Dupuis of Canada's experience at this level is rather limited, but he's a firm believer in his own ability to compete well and to win. Fellow Canadian Paul Lepik is a former world powerlifting champion and returns with more confidence for a second attempt at the World's Strongest Man title. Heinz Olesch of Germany is very big indeed. A former finalist, when he's on form, he can perform with the very best in the world and beat them. Magnus Samuelsson just failed to make the final last year and was devastated. The last 12 months have been totally focused on winning here. Like Magnus, Dutchman Barend Venenberg missed the final in Mauritius by the skin of his teeth. Once more he's back, looking stronger than ever.
We start with the arm-over-arm pull. Now, take my word for it, you don't go to Las Vegas without hiring a limo. And for this show, we've hired 3, but this is no joyride. Imagine even attempting to pull these. They weigh around 3,000 kilos each. Anyway, we thought we'd at least show them what the inside looked like.
If you wanted to put extra pressure on the competitors, this would be a great way to do it. Just stay in the car while they're pulling. This is going to be a tough event.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for me especially, because this is all back to arms and grip and hands and things, which is a weakness of me.
Now, you're one of these guys who's got incredible strength in the hands, the arms and the shoulders. Is this first event going to be a good one for you?
Yeah, normally it's really good.
6 points?
I hope so. Would be really good, and then I could sleep well.
Now, some people are saying that this heat could be the most difficult of all to qualify for the final. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, that's the way I see it. It's like almost impossible to have a single clue who will win it.
So could Gino Dupuis be the one? Everybody here is fascinated to see how these guys get on with the giant limos, and they weigh over 8 tons in all. This is a daunting prospect for the Canadian and the rest. The back, arms and shoulders supply the power. The limo's away to a smooth start. The man behind Gino there, just making sure the rope doesn't get in a tangle. Now, Gino believes in mind over matter, and will have to draw on all his reserves here to keep the pressure on and make sure those cars keep moving. He's certainly trying, but the wagon train is coming to a grinding halt about 5 meters from the finish. He can't get them going again. That's a real baptism of fire for Dupuis. And the marker will be placed on the course for the rest to beat. Gerrit, not a great fan of this event, as you've already heard. Paul Lepik trying to pick up some tips. At 22 stones, though, Gerrit Badenhorst should be able to get those cars away to a good start. Now, Gerrit's greatest strength is in his legs, so he's trying to make them work as hard as possible. He's got into a very, very good rhythm indeed, and fast approaching Dupuis' marker. The man from Bloemfontein in the Orange Free State is having to work really hard. But like Dupuis, the cars are slowing down, as if somebody has put the brakes on all of a sudden. The time is not really an issue here. He's got 90 seconds to complete the course, but I don't think he's going to last that long. They've come to an absolute dead halt. He's a couple of meters behind Dupuis, believe it or not. He was right. This was not the event for him, and the measurement will confirm he's in second place.
You weren't looking forward to that one at all, were you?
No, I'll be home early this year, I think.
You think so?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
This is only the first event,
No, it's going to be... It's very hard to go from last place, because I think this is the last place.
Well, it's early days, but not a confident start. So, it's over to Paul Lepik, who's underway. And Paul is really a muscle man. His background in the gym to produce a massive physique. Very softly spoken, but when he's competing, he really explodes into action. There's his wife, Natasha, and son watching Dad at work. Straining every muscle in his body, Dupuis still the leader, watching every turn of the wheels. He's getting close to Badenhorst, but he's almost reached the same sticking point. So after the early acceleration here, there's another athlete who's run out of steam. That's enough for Paul in third place with some big guys to come. Magnus Samuelsson next. 6'6" and just over 20 stones, with arms which look rock solid. Now he's got long levers and he must use them effectively. A long, slow pull first, but now he's speeding up the rhythm. There's plenty of aggression from Magnus, and he's really flying now. For a big man, he's got a great heart. That's vital here. He's approaching Paul Lepik's marker very, very quickly. Now for Badenhorst. He's obviously tiring, but he keeps the cars moving. Wife Kristen getting pretty vocal. She says he can do it, and he's not far short. He's certainly in the lead now. It's so close to the finish. Oh, yes! 46.6, and that's a great start for the Swede. A terrific start. Heinz Olesch realizing how good that was. What an explosive performance. By contrast, Beren Venenberg, some 6 inches shorter, but still weighs 20 stones. That's 140 kilos. But follow that by Samuelsson. The limos stretching away down the course, about the equivalent of 6 normal saloon cars. Now, Venenberg trains every day of his life in his own gymnasium, but how on earth do you prepare for something like this? He's coming out of the stripe zone, moving ahead of Badenhorst and Lepik. Sylvia, his wife, can you believe it? They're on their honeymoon. But I think Berend is stopping. But he's inched his way into third place. Now then, the last competitor, Heinz Olesch, fancies his chances in this competition. He's the heaviest of all the men at 150 kilos, so that's certainly going to help with the first pull. He really is putting his back into it and putting some speed into those cars. He's really attacking it. He wants to get this over and done with as fast as possible, but he has got a remarkable time to beat. Samuelsson's 46.6 looking absolutely invincible. And almost inevitably he's slowing. He's still got some work to do to get into the big points. That's Bryndis, his Icelandic girlfriend. He's not going to beat Magnus, that's for sure, but he looks safe for second place. And Magnus assuring him he is, so a bit of an anticlimax for the finish, but Heinz is good for second place.
Maybe this will finally be the year for the Swedish power which Magnus is so proud of. Let's hope so. At the moment, it's between him and Heinz.
And so far, Heinz, we're keeping to the schedule we were planning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What schedule was that?
Win or second, first 2 events.
Yeah?
Yeah. Refused to lose in last 2 events.
This event was in the final last year. It is, unfortunately, the one which makes the men look like chickens just because of the way they have to walk. Now, these casks weigh 300 kilograms, which is about the same as 3 15-stone men. So the guys have to pick up the structure and walk around and around in a circle for as long as they possibly can. So for this event, they need fast legs and lots of upper body strength.
And the competitors in reverse order from the result of the last event, so it's Paul Lepik to go first. Philippa, absolutely right. The legs have got to get round very quickly, and the arms, chest, shoulders and back have got to be very strong to support a weight equivalent to 4 15-stone men. And that is remarkable. Breathing with that bar across your chest must be very difficult as well. But I'm sure it's going to be the arms that give out first. He's nearly at one complete revolution and struggling, and down it goes. Just over once round, 391 degrees. Gerrit Badenhorst up next. Perhaps a little under his best than in previous years. Magnus, 6 points from event 1. Now, this has to be better than his first effort. He gets away well. And look at the muscles in those thighs. They're like tree trunks. He always gets great support wherever he goes. And Paul sees him edge closer to his mark. Going towards one fell revolution. And he's going to stroll past Paul Lepik. This is much better from Gerrit Badenhorst. But the bar is getting a little lower on his chest. 1.5 times round now, but slowing up. And it's going to go down. Doesn't seem too impressed, but that is a good score. Oh dear, he needs some oxygen back in those lungs. And the measurement, 608 degrees. That's quite a good lead for Gerrit Badenhorst. Beren Venenberg next to go, and like Gerrit, needs to go well. Now, one thing this Dutchman has in abundance is determination. I think he's going to like this one. Big, strong legs again, and a grip like a vice. Easily round halfway, and Sylvia there encouraging him once again. It's important to have somebody to tell you how you're doing. Over 360, past Paul, and now for Gerrit Badenhorst's mark. He looks as though he's losing his grip, though. He's desperately trying to clasp his hands again. Back on the move, but it is a real struggle. 608 degrees the target. He's getting very, very close. Oh, he's gone past him. But that was agony. A great effort and totally drained. He's in the lead.
Yeah, man, I cannot breathe anymore. The last 5 meters, not air, man. And it's almost you go like this and try to fight.
He fought very well, didn't he? And Dupuis here is a fighter too. It's Canada once again. Well, he's very experienced in the world of strength, but I'm not sure he's encountered anything like this before. Slower steps than the rest, but it's very, very steady. But you can see how low the bar is. Oh, now that's a surprise. Just over half a circle and it's gone. Dupuis in last place. The top two now, starting with Heinz Olesch. I wonder if they can keep the top 2 spots after this. The reigning champion, merely a spectator. Well, there's lots of strapping and chalk on the arms and hands to make sure the grip is solid. And he's moving very well. The load of 880 pounds is making rapid progress. Approaching 1 revolution, and going well is the German. A little bit of a stagger. It's looking so awkward. Now Heinz is slowing up. He's not quite up to Badenhorst's marker. And he's really coming to a grinding halt. That is very slow, and he's gone down. What an effort. And Heinz in 3rd place with 1 to go. Venenberg is still in the lead. The big Swede, Magnus Samuelsson, now looking for double top. He was brilliant in that first event. Referee Dougie Edmonds about to send him away. And he does seem to be carrying it quite low, but after all, he is 2 meters tall. This is the guy that broke a competitor's arm in an arm wrestling competition a couple of years ago. He's very tough and strong. He's taking quite short steps, but he is approaching 360, and that's good. If you can get round another 3/4 turn, it's another 6 points. He's really going for it. He's certainly got them in his sights. Oh, this looks ominous for Venenberg. Tristan standing on the spot that he needs to get to win it. And it looks as though he's got it. Yes, he has. Top of the class once again. And Mrs. Samuelsson is delighted.
Wow, emotional scenes, but Magnus has improved 100% on last year, and all that dedication is showing.
And it's also an advantage to go last, because, you know, you can always walk one extra step if you need to.
Now, there's no doubt who's in first place in this heat at the moment. You've won 2, you've got 12 points, but second place is looking very interesting.
Yeah, but we're only halfway. So maybe only got 14 points when it's over, you never know.
Well, that seems highly unlikely if he keeps up that sort of form. Even at the halfway point, it seems the rest are just fighting for second place.
Now some shade for the men by the poolside here at the Prima Donna. For the Flintstone lift, a long competition, we join it halfway through. Each man has 5 lifts, so careful weight selection is vital. It's a game of tactics.
Gino Dupuy.
So Gino attempting 341 pounds, 155 kilos, in what I suppose is the closest we're ever going to get to a traditional weightlifting event in Strongest Man. Like the clean and jerk, it's up to the chest and then above the head with arms straight.
No!
Oh, the first movement is a bit ragged and he can't hold it. Now again, if possible, no, it hits the dirt. Paul Lepic now with the same weight. Now, don't expect any smooth weightlifting techniques here. Their success comes from raw power. Good starting position. Oh, my goodness, he's so strong. And no push at all with the legs. He just presses it out. That is awesome. And Natasha is delighted. The overall leader now in an exercise where his big frame could be a disadvantage. There aren't too many world-class weightlifters around who are 6'6" tall. Slowly up. Oh, look at that. He's resting it on his belt. I'm not sure that's allowed. But he's up to halfway now. A big push. Oh, yes! If he learns the technique correctly, the rest are in trouble. And the overall leader looking good for more.
Very interesting technique.
Yeah.
Everybody outside was saying, you can't do that.
Yeah, but see, first you feel like going down again and speed up, but then I was thinking, when anyway have it up here, let's continue.
Heinz Ehrlich to go at 160 kilos. That's about the weight of a fridge freezer full of food. He pulls it up so quickly, but he was nearly off balance. Now he needs a big push with the legs. Yes, and that is very strong. A great effort from the German. Paul Lepic now with the last of his maximum 5 attempts. He actually failed this a few moments ago. Oh, it's very ragged, but the Canadian is so strong. Now he must lock out. He gets it, but I don't think his right arm looks straight to me. Beren Venenberg giving us the evil eye. This is his last attempt too. Each competitor can choose 5 weights, but as his last successful lift was at 150, if he fails this, he's going to finish down in 5th place. Total concentration. Oh, that looks very painful. He may have ripped a muscle very badly here. Dupuy is last. And that could be the end for Venenberg. We'll have to wait and see. Now, what can Magnus do? It's his last lift too. I wonder if he's going to try and lift it onto the belt again. It wouldn't be allowed in the Olympics, but the rules are relaxed here. Oh, he can't do it this time. He can try it again. It's close. And he's got it. Now, can he take it all the way up to the chest? One more big effort from here. 160 kilos. He can't quite manage it. He couldn't straighten his arms. Herod Badenhorst practicing the technique. And Heinz working out all the possible scoring permutations. And here comes Herod Badenhorst, warmed up and raring to go. 165 kilos. That's just like 2 13-stone men. And it's only his 3rd weight attempted, so he must be confident. Oh, very good technique, so smooth and strong. A very easy press out, and already he's in the lead. Now, what's going on here? Hines glaring back at Herod. Certainly some gamesmanship going on somewhere. Hines coming onto the platform now with Brindis' girlfriend shouting that this weight is no problem, but it's massive, 170 kilos, and he will need this to go into the lead. There's a lot of tension around here. Oh, well, that technique seems to be popular now, the same as Samuelsson. Oh, he's bending his back far too much. That's dangerous. He can't do it. But he is guaranteed second place and 5 points. The South African has won amidst a bit of tension between the two.
Magnus finally loses an event to the South African Herriot, but was it experience or anger that helped him win? Either way, he takes 6 points.
So the Bloemfontein Bull is beginning to come alive a little bit?
Yeah, thanks to Hines.
But even that victory means there's a lot of work to do and even more fireworks between Herriot and Hines. Samuelsson looks safe in first spot.
The tension's rising along with the mercury. We've come into the deserts for the final event in this heat, the power stairs. Those weights at 200 kilograms have to be carried up the stairs and placed on the top. Now, Heinz Olesch, the German, is the heaviest man in this heat, but he's still only 150 kilograms. So you can imagine the kind of weight that they're heaving up to the top of these stairs, not just once, but 3 times.
There's Magnus contemplating a place in the final, but what about the other two big contenders?
So, are you two speaking to each other then?
Yeah, no problem. No, I don't want to speak to you. No, me and Hans are good friends.
But will you remain friends?
Yeah, no, always. No, we're good friends, competitors, competition. That's what is, what it's all about. So.
Well, if those two came to blows, I certainly wouldn't want to be around them. But we have the first two guys, Paul Lepik and Gina Dupuy in 5th and 6th places. They've got no chance of making the final, but they have put on a good show. Now, this is a combination of every bit of strength these guys have got. As Philippa said, each one of these weights weighs 200 kilos, that's 440 pounds, and they are going to be absolutely wrecked when they're finished. Paul Lepik sprinting back down the stairs. Dupuy, I think, is going to find this very tough. He's got his first one up, and Paul Lepik going very well. It's 2-1 to the man on the right. Herriot staying out of the burning heat, and Lepik obviously tiring, but he's well ahead. Dupuy will do well to finish this one. It's the last little bit that's so hard. Now the weight has to go all the way onto the top, and Paul Lepik is just about there. He's done it. 1 minute 30.48. I'm not sure about the man on the other side. I think the stairs have beaten Dupuy. Not too much warming up needed out here for Hines. And this is where it gets really interesting. Herriot has to beat Hines by at least 1 place to make it through to the final. He's actually being accompanied by Regan Vagerdal, who was in the last programme, taking the place of Beren Venenberg, who unfortunately is injured. Now, Herriot is a former world record holder in the deadlift, so he's very strong in pulling that weight off the ground. He's looking very fast and confident. He looks as though he's on schedule, but the two big guns come on next, Olesch and Samuelsson. Herriot has been a permanent fixture in the final for quite a few years now, and these guys know he's a class act. Just 4 or 5 more to go. It's very fast. But as we've seen, just one slip can cost you dearly. He's got to keep the pressure on. Oh my goodness! He can't get it up that last step. He's losing seconds. He's got to push it all the way on. 54.35. Ah, no more. No more. That's a nice moment. He finishes with that flashing smile, but is it enough? This is a big moment for both men. Hines must beat Herriot.
What was my time, by the way?
It was just under 60 seconds. Not good enough?
The next 60 seconds are going to tell us whether he's right Magnus can afford a little slip-up, but knowing him, he'll want to dominate from start to finish. It's just Heinz in the lead by a whisker. Now, these two guys are big friends and would love to be in the final together. Magnus is actually pulling Olesh back bit by bit. Herritt won't have long to wait to see if he's made it.
I got it. I know it is here.
Look at this, what a great finish to a very competitive heat. Heinz Olesh seems to have found some extra energy from somewhere, and it looks as though he can win this. It's on, he's got it. Magnus just a shade behind him, and now the celebrations can really begin.
So in the last event, Heinz, Magnus and Herritt have all scored well, taking first, second and third, but only 2 men can go through to the final.
No! No! Congratulations, huh? Hans deserved it.
A nice moment to finish a tremendous third heat. Magnus and Heinz looking good for the final, but the old warhorse just misses out.
What are we going to do without you in the final?
I've been in for 5 years, so it's time to go home.
Now, you're both through to the final. You missed out last year as well. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in the final. Tremendous. Well done.
Fantastic to see Magnus Samuelsson through to the final in such amazing style. He's really worked hard this year and it's obviously paid off. But Herritt is out and back to South Africa to face a new challenge, fatherhood. The final is going to look very different this year. Maybe a new generation of strong men are breaking through. Before that, though, one more heat here in the Nevada desert. Make sure you don't miss it. Bye.
You can see the final heat tomorrow on BBC One at 3:10.
The world's strongest man.
Hello and a very warm welcome, in fact a scorching welcome to the Nevada desert and the 4th heat of the world's strongest man. This is our last chance to see if a Brit can get into the final, so we're all keeping our fingers crossed for the bulk of Bob Weir. Now he's a well-established athlete, but he's never done this competition before, so he's going to need all the support he can get. Here's Paul Dickinson with news of what he's up against.
Thanks a lot, Philippa. Now, you know, Bob Weir is one of the world's great discus throwers, and if he wanted to have a training session out here, it would be no problem. There's miles and miles of open space, but if he wants to follow in the footsteps of Britain's former world's strongest men, Geoff Capes, Jamie Reeves, and of course Gary Taylor, he will have to produce something very special. He's up against 5 extremely experienced men, and they all take part in 4 different events, every one of them designed to test every ounce of strength and power they've got. Now, if you win an event, you score 6 points. It's 5 for second, all the way down to a single point in last place. And the top 2 scorers at the end of the programme, they're on the way to the final. In the previous 3 heats, we've had some fantastic surprises. I promise you, this one is going to be just as dramatic. Let's meet all of the contenders now.
Bob is a total novice in these events, but physically equipped to spring a few surprises in his first ever strength contest. Michael Abdullah is a first-timer too. Originally from Australia, where he was a powerlifting champion, he's now a big celebrity in Japan. Jukka Ahala is the smallest man in this heat, but comes with a very big reputation from Finland, where their strong men are revered as great sportsmen. Bill Linden has tried before to make the final without success, but this time the Aussie is bigger, stronger and more determined than ever to make it. Flemming Rasmussen came fourth in the final last year and definitely wants to improve on that. Denmark's strongest man looks every inch a major contender. Finally, Bernard Rolly competes again after missing Mauritius in '96. He feels confident that this year he can make the final.
There it is, the first event, the car walk. They may not normally be the fastest cars in the world, but their horsepower is being replaced by leg power. So it's a good idea for these men to warm up.
It's going to be a bit of a challenge. I think it'll be, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, though.
Now, you're not the biggest man in the competition, so how important is technique?
Very important, because I'm so small.
Flemming, you were fourth in last year's final. Here we are again. Can you go 1 or 2 or 3 places better this year?
First I have to qualify. That's always the toughest part. But if I reach the final, I think I could go 1 place up.
Bill, you always look fairly relaxed about these sort of competitions, but how are you feeling?
I'm pretty hyped at the moment, actually. This first event, as with I'm sure most guys would say, is the most important. You need to capitalise with the first event so you gain momentum and consistency for the rest of the events through to the final.
It will be an amazing sight to watch these men wearing the car like a huge metal jacket. Bernard Rolly, the first to go. The competitors having drawn to see which order they go in. Now, well, he's got a good view. All strapped in. He lifts the car. Balanced by the marshals, Jim and Billy. Claude Parnell, the starter, says, off you go, and Bernard is all over the place already. He hasn't even made it over the start line. Oh, well, he can lift it again. He's got 90 seconds to complete it, but I can't see him going very far at this rate. Oh, Bernard is really struggling, and I think that might be enough. Yes, it is. Well, not exactly a dynamic start from Bernard, just about a metre down the course.
Flemming Rasmussen, Denmark.
Well, I wonder if the crowd here are wondering if these guys have bitten off more than they can chew. Flemming Rasmussen looks eager to get cracking and show them how it's done. He really does fill the car up. Look at that. Bill Linden in the shade. It's terribly hot out there. Now then, as you can imagine, balance is terribly difficult with the engine still in the front of the car. 380 kilos, over 800 pounds. And if the crowd had any doubt as to whether it could be done, look at this. I'm sure they want to have seen a car like this in the USA, or a performance like that. 14.51.
Felt really good. It's felt really easy.
The balance was perfect?
Yeah. And I could feel a lot more power in my leg than last year.
One of the things now all of a sudden is just a slight movement with that kind of weight.
Yeah.
Just changes everything so much.
Yeah.
So much more, and it's how do you keep steady with that? That's the hard thing. And
That's
a
what
bit
I mean,
windy now
because
too.
I use shorter in the links.
Yeah. Ah.
So that's why I get closer when I'm starting. If you probably have to be like this far away with your chest when you start.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Weir goes later, but getting advice from the right man. Magnussen, the reigning champion. But now it's Jukka Ahola, who has to try and beat that phenomenal time set by Flemming. The balance looks good, but look at him grimacing. Those straps digging in the shoulders. And again, I think we're going to see a great performance here. He's got about 5 meters to go. 17.19, but that's still 2.5 seconds down on Flemming's time. Jukka's first event, getting rid of some of the nerves. Bill Linden's turn now, and the crowd are really intrigued by this event now. The straps must be in the right position for Bill. Away we go for the Australian, and I think already you can see he's a lot slower than Ahola or Rasmussen. He's rocking and rolling quite a lot. The balance is going to upset his rhythm a little bit. He's got about 10 meters to go. Flemming counting, but he's safe. He's well outside the best time, but I think he's going to finish. He's absolutely dragging himself towards the line. Come on, Bill. 29.87, good enough for third place. And delighted that it's all over. Michael Abdullah is the last to go. And now for Bob Weir. Bob is very nervous indeed, not for the weight he's got to lift, but for the awkwardness of the load he's got to carry. He mustn't lean too far forward. He's quite a tall man with very, very broad shoulders. Billy and Jimmy are a little bit concerned about the balance, but it's all down to Bob now. Oh, he's down already. Over the start line, he's talking to Billy. I'm not sure what's going on, but he wants out of the car, and that's a pity. Michael Abdullah getting set with this incredibly thick supersuit to help support him. The first time Japan has been represented in World's Strongest Man. He's certainly eager to get cracking. The Rasmussen stopwatch at the ready. Over 800 pounds, that's an incredible lift. Slowly does it, and away we go. Now, Bob Weir's distance was just under 4 meters, and Michael's heading towards that mark, but he's very, very unsteady. Time is not really an issue here. It really is a question of how far he can get. Rasmussen certainly safe in first place. He's down. He's gone past Bernard and Bob. Now, 3 men have completed the course already in good time. Is it worth trying for more?
Halfway down the course and you've got it already. Now, your first win for this year.
Hopefully not the last.
You're going to need it, though, because these heats are very tight, aren't they?
Yeah. Really glad to have these first 6 points.
Well, Fleming has a new wife back home. She'll be as pleased as he is with that result. And let's just hope that Bob can find some more points in the next 3 events. For most people, an endurance test in Vegas means resisting the slot machines, and for our guys, this is no exception, only they have to resist dropping them. Each machine weighs 80 kilos, and there are 2 on either side. Now, they have to hold them like this for as long as possible, but the rules are really strict. No crouching, legs have got to be absolutely straight, and their heads have got to be up. So, grip and staying power are crucial here, making this a very good event for our own Bob Weir, since he does have rather large hands.
But it's Bernard Rolly who goes first. The strongmen going in reverse order from the result of event 1, and that means that Bob Weir goes next. And Bernard Rolly really is a lovely character. He really does enjoy these events a lot. And as soon as Douglas gives the signal, the slot machines are released. Now, the right-hand machines there are swinging about a lot. I don't think that's going to affect Bernard. That really is some haircut he's got, isn't it? Now, just looking at Bernard Rolly, I'm not sure his legs are straight, but he's clocking up the seconds, and this is a much better effort from the Bahamian. It's really hurting. 29.64. Well done to Bernard Rolly. Good effort.
I went and I did my best. That's important to me and made me feel better.
Do you hear all the guys cheering for you?
Yes, I did, and you know, I'll do the same for them.
And I'm sure Bob Weir's going to get some cheers as well, and at home from his teammates at Birchfield Harriers in Birmingham. So the gradual pressure on the shoulders and arms begins. He's got a massive arm span. That's certainly one of the things that helps Bob in discus throwing. Now, come on, Bob, you need a good time here. 29.64 to beat. And this is an event you can't train for easily, but he's got a tremendous grip in those huge hands, and that should help. He's gone over Bernard's time. 32.42. Well done to Bob Weir. An extra point and some applause as well. A couple of extra links going in to bring the handles closer. For Michael Abdullah, he's a couple of inches shorter than Bob, and a lot less in terms of the length of his arms. And Michael, who lists his hobbies from such diverse activities as Rococo art to alligator wrestling.
Yes.
Well, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? All of these guys are real characters. They all desperately want to win. Abdullah is in no mood to mess about here. Approaching 20 seconds. And it's gone, 20.30, and that puts him in third place with 3 to go. He's a little subdued, but it's not going to get any easier. Bill Linden straight out, wanting to get on with the show. And Abdullah contemplating just a single point. Bill Linden did very well to get third in the last event. Well, you can't see the whites of his eyes, but you know he means business by the expression on his face. Now remember, Bob Weir's leading time, 32.42. He's struggling, he's shaking. Oh, it's gone. 23.06. The Englishman's still in the lead. Linden just ahead of Abdullah. Yuko Ahola, the penultimate competitor. And for most of the spectators, they'll be back inside the casino for the thousands of slot machines there. Ahola got a good 5 points in the first event and now wants to hang on for as long as possible to try and beat Bob Weir's time. He's just trying to shut out the agony. It looks in control. He's going very well indeed, moving in on the leaders. I think he's going to do it. Yes, he has. Now, how much more has he got left? 35.64. Oh, my goodness, the pain. Just Flemming Rasmussen left, and another 6 points at stake.
I'm happy when I lead, but time wasn't very good.
Were you expecting more?
Yeah, I expected more.
Well, it looked pretty good to me. Now, the competitors are not supposed to crouch or lean, and the judges are going to have to watch that with Rasmussen. He's rock steady at the moment, but you've seen how quickly it can all finish. 1 minute, it looks very easy, then the pain and the fatigue hits you. He's beginning to shake, and that could mean the end. He's hanging on desperately now, creeping up on Bob Weir's time. 31.06. That means Bob Weir gets second, Rasmussen third.
So a vein-busting performance by Bob gets in second place, but the new man to beat is suddenly Yuko Ahola. When he arrived in Las Vegas, he came with a big reputation. Those last two performances have justified the build-up, and it looks like there's more to come.
So Ahola and Rasmussen looking very tough in first and second, but Bob Weir must be encouraged with those 5 points and a big move up the leaderboard.
And another warm welcome in the desert near the Prima Donna Hotel awaits our tiring competitors. This is the throw for height, a simple case of throwing a beer barrel over a high wall. This event is about technique. Now, Bob is famous for discus throwing, but has no experience of this at all. That wall has now reached 5 meters 20, and the shock for everyone is that we've lost Ahola.
What I've got to keep in mind is that all the people in this competition have experience with this event, and I don't have any experience with it. And so all I'm going to try and do is apply what I know in athletics to this event, and hopefully I can compete with them.
Well, it's a bit like a high jump competition, really. 3 failures at any height and you're out, and that's exactly what happened to Bernard Rolli and leader Ahola at 5:20. The rest are still in. Michael Abdullah getting animated as usual. He's in last place overall, but this looks better. Well done. Bill Linden at 5 meters 50, the same height that Michael Abdullah just cleared. He's only had 1 failure in this event so far, and holding it a different way to Abdullah. Couple of big swings, and it's well over. And everybody enjoying this. Flemming Rasmussen to go next. Just 1 point behind Ahola after the last event, but the Finn will only get 2 points here, so a good chance for Denmark. 1, 2, and 3. Away we go. And it looked easy. Bob Weir now just making sure he's far enough away from the wall. Just 2 attempts in this event so far, and they went sailing over. 5 meters 50, 18 feet. Yes, but it wasn't a clean throw. It hit the wall on the way over, but it was safe. So 4 men in.
You want to see it?
The wall going up to 5 meters 65. And here comes Michael Abdullah once again. Well, I think most people are thinking there are probably better things to do with a keg of beer, but here goes anyway. His last attempt at this height. And he's nearly taking off with those swings. No, he can't do it. That's a pity. He's going to finish up in 4th place, but his best place so far. Bill, as usual, trying to stay cool. And Fleming out in the blazing sun. And he's in a bit of trouble now. It's his 3rd and last attempt at 5.65. No! Nowhere near it, so 3rd place. Bob Weir now, his 2nd attempt. And Bill Linden has passed at this height, so tactics beginning to play a part. Very long arms, he looks very loose, and that is a tremendous effort. Much better than the last height, so at the moment he's actually in the lead. Well, the wall has shot up once again. It's 5 meters 80, just over 19 feet. And Bill Linden is out again. He really is a big, solid guy.
If Bill doesn't clear this, you've already thrown the winning throw.
Oh, good, then I won't have to take it.
He will now. Linden is back in pole position.
Robert Weir.
Fleming's got 4 points. Bob now has failed it once.
Go, 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 come on! Come on!
Even if he clears it, he's going to be behind the Australian on the count back of failures and successes. So this is very, very important. He's got it! And Bill Linden has to go again, and the wall is going to go up even higher. Yuko Ahola won't be in the lead after this. He's down in 5th place. 5 meters 95 is a long way up. But Bill is about to explode. Oh, it's oh so close. Back to the tent and another ice pack. Now, Bob would do his chances of getting through to the final. The power of good if he could win this event. Oh, he's just a whisker away. And 1 attempt to go. Michael Abdullah has found a few new friends as Bill Linden comes back out. He's got to try and beat the wall, taking his time before the big build-up to the throw. Oh, it just scrapes over. He's done it again. The Aussie is really on form, and this competition now is well over 2 hours old. So can Bob Weir do it yet again?
Surely you've won it now.
Roberts just keeps pulling him out of the bag. I'm going to borrow his bag later. Look, Rob's an experienced thrower, probably a lot more specialised than what I am as a thrower, so he's adapted to the movement pretty quick. You can see he's got an opposite technique to what I do. I played with this a little bit for a couple of months and developed it. It's a much better technique for me than the other way. I seem to get a much better pull.
Well, this is Bob's last attempt allowed at this height, 19.5 feet. That's well over the height of a London double-decker bus. And Bob taking his time. And certainly his Olympic and World Championship experience will help in this type of competition with long waits between each throw. If he's successful, it will take the wall up to be on 20 feet. Oh, I put the kiss of death on that throw, and so Bill Linden wins it.
Well, for a man with no experience of this event at all, we can be extremely proud of Bob Weir with 2nd place. Bill Linden, though, takes the full 6 points.
It didn't surprise me, actually. I predicted that my competition would come from Robert, being an experienced thrower.
The whole idea was to make it difficult for him, and as difficult as I tried to make it for him, it seemed to me that it wasn't that difficult for him.
Good points for both of them. They're now tied for 3rd place with Ahola and Rasmussen in the important top 2 spots. Event 4 is going to be fascinating.
This last event is set in an historic part of the desert. This road behind me used to be the old wagon trail used by the pioneers. This desert was the last obstacle they had to face before the mountains en route to California and the West Coast. Obstacles facing the men today, though, well, they're slightly different. The Atlas stones. If you haven't seen this event before, each of these stones has to be lifted up onto the plinth behind me. Now, if you were one of these men, you would probably want to go for the heaviest stone first while you were still fresh. It weighs 135 kilos, but this event wasn't designed to be easy, and the lightest stones have to go first. And if they do manage to move every single one of these massive rocks, they will have shifted a grand total of 575 kilos.
Fleming has done this event before, but still looks very nervous. And Yuko showing us his rock-hard muscles. Bill dressing for the desert.
I've been advised that because you've got large hands and very long arms, you should be good at this.
Well, we'll soon find out, won't we?
Have you tried lifting any one of them?
Yes, I can lift the stones okay, so it will just be a matter of the strategy and whom competing against in the heat, should I say.
Unfortunately, neither Bernard Rolly nor Michael Abdullah did too well. Bernard was disqualified and Michael only lifted one. So, a contrast in clothing. Bill stripped and ready for action. Bob wrapped up in a huge sweatshirt. Can either of these two guys make it into the final? Bob, just the slower way, but look at that. He's lifted the rock right up on his shoulder. Tremendous start by Bob Weir. Can he do it again? Yes, 105 kilos, 16 stones, very easily indeed. Oh, much better onto the wall than Bill Linden. Bill's got two now. Linden is some way back. Away go the sunglasses. That means business. Bob Weir's got three. If Bob Weir can win this event, he must surely go through to the final, but a little stutter there for both Linden and Bob Weir. Now, has Bob Weir run out of steam? Oh, he nearly ended up in California. Both men looking exhausted. This fourth rock is 115 kilos. They've got to try and carry it higher. Now, come on, Bob. He's closer to the wall than Bill Linden, but both men are really struggling. Now, I'm not sure he could go that route. He could be disqualified on that stone. I'm not sure he's allowed to roll it up. 15 seconds to go, but both men have had enough.
You beat Bill Linden, that's one obstacle out of the way, but there are still two guys to go.
Yes. I'm not in control of my own destiny. I thought I had the fourth stone, but I didn't know that you could put it on the fifth one and roll it up. Otherwise, I went for the fourth one. But that might have cost me, but I gave it my best, and that's all I can say.
I wonder if Bob would have been better stripping to the waist and covering himself in the resin that these two guys have. Look at that. Fleming has got some more now, whether he wanted it or not. So the target for both to ensure they make it to the final is 3 stones, at least faster than Bob Weir. And he achieved that in 26.9 seconds. But I suspect these two, being more experienced, will go for all 5. Ahola away the quickest, but it nearly came off. And it's Fleming in the lead now. Now, is it possible for England's Bob Weir to make it? Keep your eyes on the clock. Both of them with 2, and it's so fast. Fleming's got 3. Oh, Fleming is definitely through, I think. Ahola is well away. I fear we may not have a British competitor in the final now. Ahola getting it up well, and Fleming is finished. That is magnificent. This massive rock is over 20 stones for Yuko Ahola, and he gets it. Both men all smiles now. 1 and 2 in this event, and 1 and 2 in the final qualifier. They've made it.
An event that sorted out the men from the boys once and for all, but Bob far from disgraced himself in this his first year. I'm sure we'll see him back.
I actually waited for him in the last stone. I did. Wait till you see him.
Fleming a clear winner in the end, with Yuko joining the Dane in what promises to be a great final. One of Britain's best athletes, Bob Weir, just misses out.
In any competition, there have to be losers. But Bob will be back, and little Bernard never lost his smile. So that's it. 8 finalists are in place and preparing for one of the biggest competitions of their lives, along with 2 new American contestants.
And we start off with Chief Iron Bear Collins of the United States, who's in his 2nd World's Strongest Man competition. He'll be joined by Mark Filippi. He lives in Las Vegas, so he's bound to get tremendous support. Sven Karlsson dominated Heat 1, and that's all the end of the reigning champion, Magnus Ver Magnusson. But Iceland will be represented in the shape of Tolfi Olafsson. Derek Boyer of Fiji looked tremendous in Heat 2. He has the belief that he can win the final. The winner of Heat 2 was Raimons Begmanis of Latvia, the Olympic weightlifter. Magnus Samuelsson, one of the biggest men in the competition, a giant from Sweden. Heinz Olesch from Germany, he's been in the final before, one of the most experienced men around. Jukka Ahola, he was 2nd in the final heat. He's a new sensation from Finland. And finally, Flemming Rasmussen of Denmark, 4th in the final last year and the winner of Heat 4.
All 10 men are hoping to take the title of the world's strongest man. Make sure you don't miss the final.
And you can see the final at 6 o'clock on New Year's Day, BBC One.
Carol Vorderman reveals more mysteries at 7 o'clock. First on BBC One, it's